You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The crew is here, the full crew today. My man Red August on site producing. It's good to see you, brother. My man Jay Moore is in the building. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, you know. The money's here to get, so let's get it.
I heard that. My man Lonegevity, how are you?
Doing all right, man. Thank you for asking.
All right, right to the point. DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations, what's good?
I can't complain, man. Everything good your way?
Yep.
Salutations.
Why you so short today, no?
Hey, man.
Get right to it, huh?
Let's
Okay.
get to it. Let's get
Red August is being extra at least.
What's up, Jackson?
Let's
What's
get
up,
it.
Smooth Hoocher?
Yeah, the normal crew is in the building. Good to see y'all in the chat. So there's a display for Snoop's wine in Peach Tree City, Georgia. It's a picture of him. It's a cardboard cutout with him basically going like this. It's, you know, life size. And the wine is called 19 Crimes.
Yeah.
Which I haven't heard about, so I don't know if it's good or not. I can't speak on that part.
He's just one of the people, one of the faces for 19 Crimes.
Cool. And then, but for the display, it's for Black History Month. And people in the locals in the city were very upset because there was a chalkboard to the side of this display that had, and I'm going to read what I pulled from the article. There's a blackboard next to it that says celebrating Black History Month. That's what's written on the blackboard. And then there's a drawn clenched fist that says dream like Martin. And it says, on the other one, it says, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, next to the wine.
Mm-hmm.
People are upset about this. Is this much to do about nothing, man? Because it's the 19 Crimes, the Black History chalkboard, Black History Month. Mad people were offended.
19 Crimes is a brand for one.
No, I feel
Yeah, and I've seen it. It's in our local
Martha
grocery
Stewart
store.
has a 19 Crimes wine.
Right.
I don't think
Snoop has had this for years at this point, though.
he has had it. I have a bottle at home that I haven't even drank, but it's sitting there.
No, it's good. Actually, you know, as wine goes, it's all right.
What about the chalkboard?
Look, man, let me tell you something. They are literally passing legislation to take books about Jackie Robinson and Rosa Parks out of our schools.
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron.
Damn.
You know, I saw something in Jackson, Mississippi, to where the statewide General Assembly has decided that they want to take over the court system in Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so basically the people in Jackson will have no voting rights because the judges are elected. Now they're going to be appointed by an all-white state council.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so now the people we have such bigger fish to fry as far as racism and talking about what's going on. Look, is this was this bad judgment by somebody who, you know, but as far as things that I need to be worried about, no, I do not care.
Kroger says Kroger is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in all we do. Our intentions are never meant to be offensive.
But there's nothing offensive about this.
You know, if they're going to have, I'm glad. Look, this means this is somebody who is going to get, Snoop is getting paid off of this. You know, and you don't know who's working behind the scenes in the creative space for this. And like, I see that now there are a lot of places that carry Uncle Nearest, which is, you know, basically the dude who told Jack Daniels how to make his product. You know, and now if they want to say, hey, you know, acknowledge Black history with Uncle Nearest, and this is the man who taught Jack Daniels, I'm not going to get mad at that. I know it's not the same as, you know, acknowledging Paul Robeson or anything like that. But I'm sorry, man. We've got real problems in America as far as Black people are concerned. This is not something that I have the energy to be upset about.
No, so I'm going to put it in better context now that I've pulled up this picture. So the 19 Crimes Snoop Dogg display actually has nothing to do with Black History Month. The people at this particular Kroger decided to write a chalkboard next to it that says celebrating Black History Month and drew a fist, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, celebrating whatever. So this has nothing to do with 19 Crimes.
Yeah, nothing to do with 19 Crimes or Snoop.
You can't put it on Snoop.
That's what they're trying to do.
Or even the company for having this there because somebody from Kroger did this. Now, you should be mad at Kroger because they could have, with it being Black History Month, they could have placed it anywhere in the store
That's my
versus
point.
What if it was
placing it
somebody
right
black that did
next
it?
to the night. I mean, it still doesn't make sense to sit it right next to that if it has nothing to do with it. That's why I wanted to see the picture of it, because it's obviously something that somebody drew.
Yep.
And they just set the chalkboard right by the 19 Crimes display. So I think that's kind of flunkery. But that goes to Kroger's management. That doesn't even go to Kroger as a whole because it's only that particular store.
And it says two people that were asked about it says it just felt like it was offensive. And the other person
just
said
felt-
it was
Just
very,
distasteful. It's
Who
distasteful.
are these two people?
just patrons that were at the store.
People want to be on the news.
Well, that too.
I don't know. I mean, I don't understand. What is offensive?
It's in
What's
poor taste, but I don't think it's offensive. I don't think it made sense for them to sit it right next to that.
I don't think
if anything.
I don't think it should be right that close to it either.
This is how far I don't understand. Are these black people that are upset or white people that are upset?
The two people I saw were black.
Yeah, it's probably. I was about to say that.
So it's black people that are upset that they decided to set this next to a display of Snoop, particularly in there,
Here's a gentleman.
as opposed to white people that are upset that there's any mentioning of
Black History
Black
Month.
History Month. That's what I'm trying to.
The gentleman said, proud of drinking wine, ? No, we're proud of the Tuskegee Airman whose shoulders I stand on. He was a former
well,
pilot.
Jesus turned
Okay.
water into wine, so
So-
I'm proud to drink wine.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure.
Don't do
I'm not trying to be funny, but like, well, yeah. I
My
guess I
man
am.
was offended, though.
But
Yeah.
the Tuskegee Airmen don't have any products in Kroger.
Don't do
No, I'm dead serious.
don't do that.
Like, don't bring up the Tuskegee Airmen. What, you
I mean,
know,
the brother was a former pilot. That's all. That's all he was saying. He's saying
That was in
y'all-
poor taste. They could have put that sign in the vestibule.
That's all-
when
that's
you
all
walk
I'm
in the
saying.
store. That was
Yeah.
just. I don't know.
I don't agree
It's
with
an
the,
oversight, and somebody probably just shouldn't have did it.
Look,
I'm personally not going to take offense to it if I see it,
yeah.
but I do believe that's probably in
If they'd have
poor
put it
taste.
next to the watermelons or the rotisserie chicken, I might have had
See,
something to say.
That would have been the same type of thing that happened at the Children's Museum last year when they had the
Right.
No, yeah,
watermelon salad during
Yeah.
Black History Month. We ain't forget.
talk to him. Tell him now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, their response was essentially, I mean, we're black and we like watermelon.
Nah, their response was foolish.
Yeah,
if you
I know.
remember, because they said they had a whole
Yeah,
committee.
thanks.
I said it on purpose. They said they had a committee that was diverse, and then when they showed the committee, it was like, okay, you lied about that too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was people. It was upset, man. They said proud to be
I
pulling
was
alcohol.
joking because there were people that were trolling behind. I was like, I don't know. I kind of like the fact that there's watermelon on it. But
No, I'm with Terry though, man. Don't try to put it on, associated with Snoop or whatever. This was an
it
error
has
on
nothing to
the,
do with
the
him.
grocery store. Long you
But
still
then how do I get on
you still
TV?
ain't quite there with me.
the reason why I'm not there is just, look, I'm not black, so it doesn't really affect me, right?
Gotcha.
In that manner. But just from to Jay's point, from a scale standpoint, there are actual things that matter.
Way more than
And not somebody that made a bad decision to write on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
And it was in poor taste, but with good intention, probably, maybe. I don't know.
I'm
So-
sorry. I just saw something where they're trying to make sure that they take all voting sites off of college campuses in Texas, especially the HBCUs.
really.
It's like they're literally trying to get Jim Crow 2.0 or 3.0, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
On and popping. I don't have time for you to be upset about. I'm sorry. Maybe this probably comes from a good place for this individual, but I just don't have time. We are in. America is on the brink. You know what I'm saying?
it's
No,
past
you're right.
the
They,
cup
like
overflow.
you look at who they the Marjorie Taylor Greens and these people, and they are serious, and they are pointing to high level membership committees in Congress.
It's almost amazing how far she's come. Because she's an absolute idiot.
Because I thought, okay, they were definitely not going to elect her to another term, but I was like, she must, she must have a bunch of terrible people in her congressional district that really love her. So I was like, okay, maybe, but they don't push her off to the fringes. They give her leadership positions,
wild.
and then what's his name, George Santos or whatever his real name really is, like. This is what's going on in the world, y'all, and these are the people who make the decisions about things that affect everybody.
That's a
And
good
they're
point.
laughing when you pay attention to this type of stuff.
And then you got everybody's like, oh, because now they've turned, the idea of being woke into a full on slur.
Woke is It's not even woke anymore. It's almost played out because
first of all, woke
people
is,
took it and ran with it and ran into the dirt. Now it doesn't even mean what
woke is how you say
out.
the N-word on TV. That is how certain people.
There's another word for that. It's thug.
Oh no, they've got several words for it.
We call these dog whistles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
There's
whenever it says we're not going to take this woke agenda and we're going to make sure we get this book about Rosa Parks out of your children's school, it was like, all right, we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Long said Hank Aaron. Well, that's tough.
That's
DeSantos specifically.
Yeah,
because I talked.
tough.
No, it really is a thing, and the thing is, I talked to. Actually, it was a back and forth that I had.
Was there a reasoning behind it?
With Mr. Yeah, because he's black. With Mr. 𝐀𝐿𝐃, and I remember a couple years ago when Hank Aaron passed away.
Yeah,
they talked about the strength and resilience of Hank Aaron, and first of all, the strength and resilience in the face of what is that? It's not so much. Yes, he was a great baseball player, but we talk about his strength and resilience because we have to. But we can't just say those things. We have to talk about it because we have to talk about how terrible white people were.
That's a good point.
So. That's why they don't want their kids to see books about Hank Aaron.
It's a whole bunch of white fragility is really what it is. It's a whole bunch of white people that are just so afraid of their white kids learning about stuff that actually happened and their feelings getting hurt, as opposed to learning about what actually happened so that potentially they could be educated on it and maybe they don't repeat the same thing. It's a whole bunch of white nonsense.
Well, you know what?
Do you think there's you just said it, but
they're doing the same thing with the LGBT stuff as well. I tell you what, nobody 2 dogs that are male, and it's like,
look, nobody ever thought about black children's feelings when they had to go to schools that were named after Confederate generals. So, but now we want to tell white kids the truth about how
Thomas Jefferson had slaves.
The reason,
right.
The reason Milwaukee lost the Braves is because part of it was because they had a segregated stadium. That's how the Braves got to Atlanta. So how messed up it is. You got to leave Milwaukee to go to Atlanta to find a better racial situation.
True.
Down south to find a better
racial
situation.
So because a lot of times white people from up the north, if you will, think, oh, we're not like that. And I was like, actually you are.
Lone, you dropped a bar too, because I just thought about what you said. And parents being afraid to have actual conversations about history and things that actually happened because of their ego, or they don't want their children to hear about certain things. It's crazy.
It's literally,
but it's the truth. That's what's happening.
It's true fragility, and it's also it's a mixture of just straight ignorance of not even believing a lot of the stuff too. If think about it, if you're a white person and you think that race relations in this country are blown out of proportion and everything's better because we had a black president, and you're not a racist as long as you don't say the N-word, and that's the end of it.
Right.
What else is there to do? Why do we have to keep talking about it? Right. And so it's deep level rooted ignorance, and that's where the privilege element comes in, because white people in general, we have the ability to just ignore this stuff if we want to, or we have. For a very, very long time, we've been able to just ignore it because social media wasn't really in the way, and media was controlled by mostly white entities. So,
True.
But now that social media is out here, the woke culture, or people that actually know how to read and actually do read, are like, oh wow, this is really something that happened. Sure, let's talk about it. And that's it's just white feelings, man.
But notice how the people who are so against teaching American history the way that happened, or and they'll call it critical race theory.
Yeah.
And even though no one is taught in critical race theory,
because if they actually read, they would know that it's not critical race theory.
Yeah, because you always tell people say, "Oh, I just don't want critical race theory." What is critical race theory, sir? And they're just they don't have a solid answer.
That's just running off the rhetoric that's spewed on Fox News.
Exactly. And then this is the thing. Okay, say you don't want to talk about slavery and the things that happened in the past, but you don't want to take down the Confederate statues. How are you? So it's like you can't have it both ways, because it's like, oh, you don't want to talk about who this person really is and what they stood for.
It's just, you just want revisionism. Let's just keep it at that.
Let's just keep it real. Like, okay, I will stop talking about slavery as soon as we take down all of the Confederate statues. How about that?
And I would still say no.
I'd still say no because first of all, look, there are Confederate monuments in Arizona. Arizona wasn't even a state in the Union during the Civil War. You know, a lot of these.
That's a bar right there.
You got to understand, most of the Confederate monuments that were built during the Civil Rights era.
True.
They were built as symbols of intimidation to black people who wanted to do crazy things like vote and have equal schools and be able to drink out of water fountains. That was a reaction to that.
No, it's heritage.
Oh yeah, it's heritage, not hate.
That's the word, huh?
That's
Heritage.
always the line. It's heritage,
My
not
right.
hate.
But here's the bar. It is heritage and it is hate. It's both.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm. But it's not you can't cop out something and just say it's heritage.
I would just say, yeah, it is heritage.
It is your heritage.
It's the heritage of white supremacy and racism.
A lot of them, it wasn't their heritage, though. It's just the heritage that they decided to take on.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
just
a little
like
different.
That's fair.
and we'll just put it out there. You know, people like Kid Rock and Ted Nugent. That is the heritage that they've decided, even though they're from basically 2 blocks away from Canada, they want to adopt Southern heritage because, hey, that's how we really feel.
that's where your fan base is.
Mm-hmm.
That part. Hey.
Let's see how our next topic can jump down that same. I feel like every topic nowadays either goes to like something serious like that or some sort of political thing.
Man,
it's my fault, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Hey man, it's all good though. It's good.
Well, this was Jay's fault this time.
Yeah, it was.
Good conversation though. It's healthy. It's good talk. Y'all drop.
Who can I talk bad about next?
Yeah, y'all drop bars though on the low. All right, so let's see. I should have looked at what time we started. I think.
Don't matter.
Yeah,
Doesn't
we'll figure
matter,
it out.
Michael.
Okay. Trying to keep track.
Episode, which number?
300 and something.
46.
27.
Wow.
Yeah.
I jumped
We need
really far
help.
ahead.
Man.
You trying to get
Help.
you doing a little too much.
Me.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. Tell your friends to watch the live.
Man.
When we do this on live, because it's you get a very sanitized, very edited version when you watch it on Thursdays. But this is fun.
Let's talk Fresh Prince. there was I'm gonna read a comment from the GOAT, Quincy Jones, obviously who EP'd that and Pick Will and all the rest of that stuff. He says, I think Fresh Prince and the success of the show. Is that did I hear myself?
You're good. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No, I think those are the voices in your head.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, am I tripping? Man, I got scared for a minute. He says, I think Fresh Prince and the success of the show was the final piece that cemented hip hop into the pop culture lexicon. We know the rapper Murs, who also was speaking on this, brought up that he said it brought hip hop into homes around the world in a form that was authentic and yet palatable. He said it showed millions and millions that were unfamiliar with the culture, and not all rappers were violent, ignorant, and unintelligent. So if you go back to the 90s and we think about the popularity of that show, do we agree with that? And also, is there something that we're missing in terms of hip hop crossing over to the pop culture? Because I actually agree with this from a shoe standpoint,
Kinda.
music standpoint. Will Smith getting the first Grammy being hip hop with Jazzy Jeff. I actually agree with this, but is there anything that's missing?
Yeah,
You're saying
because,
kinda.
I mean, he wasn't a rapper on the show. He was just a kid from Philly.
Yeah, but him being a rapper brought people to the show.
Eh,
You see what I'm saying?
not necessarily.
What came
Because a
first?
lot of people probably watched. Well, before Fresh Prince, you had was Martin out before Fresh Prince?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So I can't say that. But
That's
if we're
another show.
If we're talking about Jordans and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure Theo had Jordans on in the Cosby Show. Different world.
I don't know about that.
Different world.
No, but if you want to talk
Definitely
about
had
because
Jordans and stuff
Dwayne
on.
Wayne always had Jordans.
He always had Jordans on. And if anything introduced you to the culture, hip hop or black, whatever, that would be the first. In my personal opinion, would be Different World.
Will being a rapper is the part that I
Rappers were on Different World.
But are we talking about introducing hip hop to the mainstream, including white people? Or are we talking about introducing it to the mainstream? Because
pop
what white
culture
people consume is not the same as
There
what
it
black
is.
people
Not,
consume.
but
There it
people
You
is.
said a different world. I've never seen a different world.
People could have watched
There-
Fresh
that's
Prince
it, Long.
and still not known that he was a rapper.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was a rapper, but I feel like the Fresh Prince was bigger, and it could also be my age too, because I remember when it came out.
when I hear pop culture lexicon, I'm thinking what you're talking about. I'm talking about everything.
Yeah.
That's the way I took it when I heard that.
Crossed over. I take it as introduced hip hop culture to white America is kind of what
that. But for real though, like I'm
I don't know,
thinking,
man. Different World was on prime time on a Thursday night right before Cheers.
yeah. But the only thing is with him, I know he wasn't
Maybe
a
you're right, I
rapper.
don't know.
I know he wasn't a rapper on the show, and Jay Moore, I know you can attest. We all grew up on it. He wasn't a rapper on the show, but I knew Will Smith was associated with hip hop.
You knew Will
When he
Smith
was on the show, and
associated with hip hop.
I think more people than you giving it credit for actually knew that Will was a rapper, and that show was going to just, it popped off. To me, it popped off hip hop, the shoes, the fashion. I think it's all of that. To me, that's the way I watched it. And I feel you on a different world because Dwayne Wayne's shoes and Ron's shoes, they was laced. I get that part. But the hip hop part to pop culture, I think I agree, man.
No, I don't agree at all.
I agree.
I don't agree at all because if we're going to give anybody credit for that, give it to Run DMC when they were on with Aerosmith. Then talk about the Beastie Boys when they sold 10 million records. You know, if we're going to talk about mainstreaming hip hop and hip hop culture to where, and I was there in the suburbs with those white kids. And them finding out, and then because that's who was buying all. That's always who's bought all the records anyway. That's always who's been the main consumer of this culture. You can get mad at me if you want to, but
so you think Run DMC
because they
crossed over hip hop over to pop culture?
Yes, because you know what, those stadiums were full, and it wasn't just black kids. You can't fill up a 20,000 seat stadium
with just black
kids. You know, and so if anything, when it's always been small incremental things. When Run DMC hit with Walk This Way, and all of a sudden, oh, you see that on MTV all the time. Then here comes the Beastie Boys, and they're touring with Run DMC, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, that's when you can get these network executives who aren't cool at all to say, hip hop. Hey, Quincy Jones, do you know anybody? And then Quincy Jones can get a show like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air greenlit based on the successes that had come before. Now, don't get me wrong, it took it to the next level, but part of the reason that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air worked is because it was a funny show.
Great writing.
And there would be kind of like if you watch the episodes of The Cosby Show, they would have, Bill Cosby would have on the HBCU shirts. There would be black art in the households. Okay, that was the first step. And some of those same steps were used in, Will rocked them joints too. So when you would see Will, we allude to him wearing the Jordans, he'd have on the Black College Alliance sweatshirts. He would talk. You see him and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go pick up that new Nas CD," or there'd be an Intelligent Hoodlum poster on the wall in his room. Those are those nods to hip hop. But once again, the show worked. I want to, as much as it was a show that had a hip hop influence, it worked partially built on those things that had come before, but it also worked in a way in spite of hip hop. It was because Will actually was such a talented individual, and the actors they surrounded him with were James Avery was such a good actor as Uncle Phil. The first and second, of course, I like the first Aunt Viv better. The fact that Alfonso Ribeiro, somebody who had been a star since the early
Jackson
1980s,
Silver Spoons.
True.
It's so there are a lot of factors, and the thing is, I always hate that thing where they say, "Oh, well, it showed that rappers weren't ignorant or violent." I was like, you got to remember what 1989, because that's when you start the production of a show going into 90 when the show finally debuted. You got to realize that, the whole idea of gangster rap and rap that's more violent and more edgy being mainstream was still very new. The rappers who were popping, it was still trying to make you dance and have a good time. There wasn't this crazy, you had NWA, but then you had not Criss Cross, but the beta test for Criss Cross, Kid and Play. You had the people who were selling records, even LL Cool J, he might have been edgy. If you saw him, he seemed like he was very aggressive at 35 years old, but he was just making stuff to make you have a good time. So I kind of resent when people say, oh, it showed that the culture wasn't just violent and ignorant. Like, if you are of the culture, you never thought the culture was violent or ignorant.
But that's not. But to your point, who are we showing this to? We're showing it to white America, right?
True.
And
so
Go ahead, Lone. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think Jay makes some good points. I actually I would probably say, just from my own personal experience, I would probably say that the Aerosmith Run DMC thing was probably huge.
It was
like monster, like monumental, like that type of crossover at that time because of how big Aerosmith was.
No, but
I'm not mad at that.
But this is the thing. Let's clear this up, because literally Run DMC saved Aerosmith from being, they were nobodies. Like they weren't a part of that hair metal thing that was happening at the time. Like Steven Tyler says this, like they'll say that song saved our career. Because
that's dope if he said that.
Dude
that's
looks
dope.
like a lady, and
that's
all
dope.
that came after.
Definitely.
Right.
That's
when
dope.
The resurgence
That's
of
true.
Aerosmith has to do with up until that point, Aerosmith had probably never been on MTV.
Because
I
Walk
respect
This Way
that.
was pretty much a redo.
Yeah, it was a redo of
they
the song off of Toys in the Attic from the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I respect that if he said that. That's dope.
No, and like if you go back and you do your Googles, like Aerosmith had not been a mainstay on MTV. Run DMC was bigger on MTV than Aerosmith was.
right.
Absolutely.
But again,
But once again, you
the
put them up
argument
there
is
with white people, and
we're
it
talking
always
about-
makes it seem
exactly.
bigger.
We're talking about white America in this. Well, at least I am in this particular way. And Aerosmith had at that point been out for over a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So and
right,
they had,
right, right,
so
right.
like even if they were kind of falling off, this known rock band, even if they didn't fit in with the 80s or whatever, combining with this was just something new and different.
True.
It was new and different. We hadn't really seen, I mean, I remember it specifically and I was like, what, 7 or 8 or something? Do you know what I mean? So, it was big. I feel like to the other point, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I feel like that just took everything to another level.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. So it goes back to the example when we talk about the concert, right? The 20,000 and in the stadium, and you can't feel that with just all black folks, right? We, obviously that's going to be a diverse crowd, right? But you're talking about millions upon millions of eyes on a TV show nightly. Like, to me, that audience is huge.
I still don't feel like that though, man. I mean, it was huge. Fresh Prince came on Monday nights.
Yeah. I watched
That's not a huge night. Now it was
It
probably
was
the
when
best show
Yeah.
on Monday night, but with it being a so-called hip hop show, there's not a whole lot of hip hop esque moments on the show, other than him dressing the part.
But I think that
essentially.
subtlety is why.
Yeah, and then having Jazzy Jeff.
that. All of that goes into the equation,
It
though. The
does.
fact that they actually are a hip hop group coming off a Grammy.
But I can't attribute Fresh Prince being the springboard for all of that. I just can't.
Again, I'm just going to say this again from a white perspective because you guys don't have this. It's just, it's just
No,
what
he's
we sure
right.
don't. Yeah, we don't.
it's just what it is. Like,
yeah.
there's certain things that are palatable for white America.
Mm-hmm.
The way that show was presented was palatable for white America to where you're not getting a whole, it's like, oh, these are quote unquote, these are good black people.
Right.
We just
Right.
talked about that conversation, right? It's
Right.
palatable. And so what happens to the kids that are allowed to watch the show, right? For whatever reason, or that aren't allowed to listen to hip hop music, you know what I mean? And so then they dig in to see like, who is Will Smith? Oh, the Fresh Prince. Oh, who's this guy that randomly makes cameos? The DJ, Jazzy Jeff and all this other stuff. So I feel like from that perspective, it's super huge. Like the show is massive from that aspect. I don't think if you're already a part of the culture, or you're already aware of everything, it probably didn't have as much of an impact.
Did it make you want to listen to rap music?
It could have only
You
because
personally, though.
because me, I honestly,
I was already listening to it.
I couldn't even tell you.
oh, you talking? Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. I don't remember what I was doing when I was 9 and 10. You know what I mean? Like I don't remember anything. But what I'm saying is like I grew up in Anderson, Indiana. Sure, it wasn't just all white people, but it is kind of rural. It's a small city in Indiana. And so as far as like cultural related things, there's not a lot going on in the town. So you're not introduced to a lot. Even the schools we're at it's just this is what it is. And so to see something like that that's so different, it's just different. It's a cultural experience that you're not used to. And so when you witness that as a young kid and you're like, oh, what is this? You may not even pick up on the subtleties that you're talking about. You're just like, oh, this is a interesting family in Bel-Air. Like, it's like,
right. Different World's one of my favorite shows, so I understand exactly
I
what you're
almost
saying.
wore a Different World shirt today, too.
Bruh, I know exactly what you're saying. Like I remember being hype about the shoes. I remember the episode
even down to
where,
Dwayne Wayne's glasses. They used
yes.
to draw Bart Simpson pictures
with those
Dwayne
on.
Wayne glasses on.
I remember the joint where
I wanted those glasses.
Yeah.
I found them at
I couldn't tell you if the show came on. That's what it is.
I found them joints at Washington Square.
Yeah.
Begged my mama to cop them. Walked around the mall with them flipped up. I thought I was that guy. I remember the Heavy D. I think Heavy D was on.
Heavy D was on there.
Yeah. Heavy D was on that episode. Tupac was on there.
That was in the final season.
Yeah. So Terry, believe me, I'm with you.
Is that the show that Jada Pinkett was on too?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So hip hop definitely, the culture was definitely represented on that show. I'm not mad at that. I'm just saying, man, Will and them.
The HBCU experience was that show itself made people when I was coming up with want to go to college.
True.
Essentially springboarded a whole nation full of kids that wanted to go to college, whether it had been an HBCU or predominantly white college. It just made you want to excel and kind of be like those characters and still be you, remain yourself, because, I mean, that was a good representation.
That's how I was introduced to HBCUs, was that show.
I know it's considered a little bit sillier than the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
But there are times where they went there where the Cosby Show did not.
Agreed. You
know, about when, you know, the Will and Carlton were driving, you know.
They got pulled over.
They were driving a Benz too slow when they got pulled over,
Yep.
you know, and things like that, you know, and where the things that were going on in the world were actually addressed.
The Fresh Prince had hella meat and potatoes.
You know, like as much as I love the Cosby Show, there are some times they just did not go there. But at the same time, that's why we love the Cosby Show, because it didn't make it a point to go there, but it did give us different
World
things.
Definitely went there.
True.
Yeah, after the first season, I tried the first season of Different World.
The first season was different. Yeah. Literally,
that was the Denise season,
because
right?
as long as Denise was the main character, and I know we diving into a deep hole now.
Right.
There was. Because this is the thing about Different World. Like every time like someone got drunk, it had to be like a very special episode, or like if somebody had sex, they might have gotten pregnant. Like it was never like, oh yeah, this is actually how. I mean, it was still very light, but I understand it was network TV in the 1980s.
Or had those AIDS.
You know, yeah, you couldn't make it seem like it was just fun to have sex and drink in college. Like it actually
What are you
was.
Promoting?
Huh?
What you trying to promote?
Fun.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
sorry.
Like you know, I will give props to because the show Grownish, because it's very honest about the fact that like from freshman year to senior year, kids are drinking and hooking up and making poor decisions.
Are we talking about high school or college?
College,
because you can probably damn near say both.
I mean, that's what
if you want to keep it all the way real.
That is exactly what Euphoria is about.
So
they need to hurry up with the next season, by the way. Too. All right, man. Well, good conversation. You know, we agree to disagree, but
and Mike added some stuff into the chat here. He said to Quincy's point in his quote, he said Fresh Prince was the final catalyst that put hip hop into the mainstream.
No.
See that?
Final. Remember, Hammer came along a little bit after that and sold
Hammer's
like
mentioned
12 million,
Hammer's mentioned in his article too.
Yeah,
he's mentioned in his article. Yep.
Because like I know a lot of people, they say what you will about Hammer, but there's somebody who loves Jay Dilla now, but their first rap tape was Please Hammer.
No, absolutely. I knew people in school that knew nothing about hip hop, rap, nothing until Can't Touch This came out, and would come to school, couldn't wait to sing it to you.
I didn't know anything until Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had Vanilla Ice in it.
Oh yeah,
no, I'm joking.
I know.
You like that? Go
but you
Ninja,
know what?
Go Ninja.
Go.
But you know what? There's somebody whose grandmother bought him To the Extreme for Christmas.
Absolutely.
You know, and that person is fully entrenched in. A few years later, was fully entrenched in the Wu-Tang.
I ain't gonna hold you. I bought the Vanilla Ice tape. I ain't gonna hold you.
I
bought
did not.
it. I bought it.
Yeah, I didn't buy it.
It was pretty bad. Outside of Ice Ice Baby and what was the other joint? What's the slow?
Did you buy a Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch too?
No.
When they were rapping and singing underneath that little that
vibrations.
There's rapping and singing under that dirty bridge.
Remember?
Would you say they was rapping under a dirty bridge?
She was dressed like she's in a club, but they were under this dirty ass bridge.
No, remember Marky Mark tried to kick some knowledge one time? It's like, blame it on the black man. What the heck? It's on the wild side.
Oh yeah.
Good
I didn't even hear that.
I don't know.
Hey, Jay Diff, did Good Vibrations go though?
No.
It didn't go?
You
just did?
Just because I know it. You have to understand when I'm watching Yo MTV Raps,
yeah,
I'm going to sneak some joints in there.
Yeah,
that
Good Vibrations didn't come on Yo MTV Raps.
It did, though.
No,
They might have come on there
I'm
once. Now
telling you, it came on there.
They might have snuck in Wild Side.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch were on some of those platforms.
What do you know
brother.
what do you know about the sample in that song though?
Nothing.
Good vibration. No, the singing. That's actually,
No, I don't know.
So it's actually that sample is the same sample that was used throughout Chicago house music.
Game.
There's a specific song. There's a Vox video. There's a by Vox, and it's like I think it's Disco Demolition. It talks about like how when disco died is when like house was born essentially, and it talks about all that stuff. But there's a sample that was reused a lot, and it was the same sample that is.
But the woman who sang it, I think she was actually in the video.
Yeah,
she was. Game.
Yeah, she would
Are
actually.
you sure that she wasn't lip singing? Because in the
Well,
house,
no, we're not talking about
because
we're not talking about a Martha Walsh situation.
Yeah, nah, she was actually in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she actually performed it with them, you know, on
I'm gonna
Club
look this
MTV or whatever.
I'm gonna look this up because the
Long dropping game right now. That's game.
Good Vibrations, Marky Mark, singer sample.
Marky.
You were
Mark.
running.
He had the
Loretta
terrible-
Holloway.
That's a corny name.
It's very corny.
So Love Sensation was a song,
Okay.
and it was like a 70s song, and it samples Loretta Holloway. Loretta Holloway, the same song was used. The main record that sounds like the chorus, I'm almost certain is the sample, but it just the way it's chopped up. I could be wrong.
I think she
But-
sings it for real.
She might in the song. I'm not sure, but there's a house record because house producers would flip this, and it kind of blew up somewhere. And they when they go to perform, they would have like a fake somebody singing
like
but,
her.
but it wasn't her.
Like CNC Music Factory.
Wow.
Milli Vanilli.
I don't think. Yeah, it was a Martha Walsh situation.
What you just hating on CNC Music Factory last week? Or
I
was that the week
was.
before? Oh, that
No,
was
I
you.
said
That was you.
something. I said something about Freedom Williams.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Jump to the rhythm. Jump
I didn't
to the
hate it on
rhythm.
him a few times actually.
I have no reason to talk bad about Freedom Williams. Shout out to him.
Trash.
1980. Yep.
Trash.
What?
That's how you feel?
CNC Music Factory.
They
You
ain't
didn't
had-
like
They ain't
things
had
that-
no joints.
You didn't like things that make you go.
Are you?
man.
You didn't like that song?
No.
None.
No, man.
You didn't like gonna make you sweat.
Red August. You like? Well, he can't talk.
I did not like that, man. Not a fan
None
of
of 'em-
Jock Jams.
None of them went.
No.
You didn't get Jock Jam 65 or
I
whatever it
didn't
came out.
get one.
Oh man.
Let alone
Lone, did you get
65.
it? Did you get Jock Jams?
No, I
No,
did not.
I remember Freedom Williams. They put him on a record. It was like Close the Crack House. He was on there with
Yeah,
What?
I kind of remember that.
It was like with he was on there with like 𝐀𝐿. They tried to have him hook up some real
Close
verses.
the Crack House.
It was one of those
Better
songs.
than leave it open.
Yeah.
Got me there.
I think like the singers from the group Ex-Girlfriend sang the hook.
How you know all these
I wasn't
group-
allowed to like CNC Music Factory.
What, you weren't
That's
allowed to like CNC Music
As the kids say, that's cap.
I'd have got beat up for that. For liking some CNC Music Factory where I was.
You didn't
at.
like what? You didn't like Black Box either. Strike It Up. Yeah, you didn't like none of that.
Now
I
he
know
liked
that's
that one. Now he liked that one.
That wasn't that
Now he
bad.
liked that one. You liked that
That
one.
one wasn't that bad. But I'm cool on dancing real hard to CNC Music Factory.
Hey, that's messed up, man. You disrespecting your culture
No,
right
not-
now, man.
That's not my culture.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
You know,
Positive.
Thank you, Lone.
I can pick and choose what I decide.
So
Well, I
much-
knew I wasn't raised.
Gonna
on that,
choose a
so
cut to move your butt.
That's stupid. Stupid.
We supposed to be brothers,
All right,
man.
well.
Oh yeah, because that's what they would do.
Black Box, Right on Time. She's lip singing. You guys can't see it, but
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I got you.
yeah, because they had her lip syncing for
Everybody.
Martha.
I did like that song.
They had
That
him-
wasn't CNC Music Factory though. Was
You
it?
That was
remember
Black
that one?
Box.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. See,
That song was
I
cold.
might have messed with Black Box then. I ain't messed with CNC Music Factory though.
so there was Love Sensation. So it came from because back in the day they used to when they were releasing singles, they released the acapella. And so people were flipping the acapella.
That's why they stopped doing that.
On with the jewel of the day. Okay.
Jules.
Hey, Red August. Can we shout out the partners real quick, brother?
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com.
Did you see this conversation between, this is ridiculous by the way, between Boosie and T.I.? Did y'all see this?
I seen a snippet.
So they were about to do an album together, right?
Nope.
They did the album.
It's like 9 songs, I think. I don't know if it's complete. That's what I heard.
I can't think of an album I would want to listen to less.
So
I'm
here's
sorry, I like Boosie's interviews, but no, a Boosie and T.I. album, that sounds awful.
we talked about the snitching culture in hip hop, right?
Yeah.
And how this continues to come up, and it's on every outlet, and it's on everything that's on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Boosie decided to cancel the album because T.I. said that he snitched on his dead cousin. Why is this so important, and why would he miss out on a bag for a chance to do an album? They got a reality show coming out, all for the sake of snitching in hip hop. To me, this is ridiculous. Do you know how dope that album would be for them? And he's gonna not put it out just because of this conversation? Doesn't make sense to me. And I think the conversation is getting ridiculous in hip hop because everything is based off somebody telling. Like, why is this so important?
It's not important at all. Honestly, all this street talk is so played.
Thank you.
As far as actual art going, like, everybody doesn't need to tell every story, but even if they tell the stories, like, look, I want to go home. I've told y'all that. If anybody got, and if I can go home by telling on somebody who's not here, I'm going to go on home. I'm sorry. I don't know why people
respect it.
Look, everyone talks about snitching. Yeah, snitches get stitches. Look, when's the last time some snitches actually got some stitches? Snitches seem to be thriving out here.
Hey, listen.
I don't know what y'all even talking about.
Hey, pump your brakes on that.
What'd you say, Terry? Hold on.
There's a reason why you don't hear about it because it happens for real. So we got to clear that one up. So this is not a PSA to tell you to be out here just running your mouth on stuff that you ain't got nothing to do with because
that's not what we doing here, right?
That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm not one of these people who wants to get on and start looking at people's paperwork. Once again, I got other things to do.
But guess whose platform this was on?
That's what I'm saying. For Boosie's his fan base,
Yes.
he's doing absolutely the right thing.
That is true. That part is true.
So you
100%.
you have to realize who his fan base is
and who he is.
Everybody don't listen to Boosie like that. I'm not a Boosie fan like that to where I'm listening to his records and albums and stuff all the time.
He got a huge fan base here.
I do like his interviews. I do like some of his singles. Blah blah blah. But I'm not Boosie's core fan base. His core fan base is the ones that told him pretty much you're associating with this, that, and the third. So for him, it's hitting him in his pockets to put out this album.
His uncle called him and told him not to put it out.
Yeah, so it directly affects him. It doesn't align with what he's doing. As far as T.I., he said his dead cousin came to him and told him he was supposed to tell him or whatever. That's neither.
What, like in a dream?
I guess something weird,
Yeah.
stupid. Boosie's problem is, why did you wait until we do this album and start talking that mess?
He literally said that.
Yeah, because now you messing up the bottom line for me and you essentially if this was going to do anything because, I mean, their fan base is kind of aligned, but they're still kind of different.
Look, rappers, if all you got is street stories and look at my paperwork, then okay, that's go on these platforms and talk about that. But like if you actually have music and TV shows, keep all this stuff to yourself.
That's my thing.
I'm sorry, but like it doesn't benefit anybody in any way, shape, or form. Like you are tax-paying citizens at this point.
Terry makes
stop.
Terry makes a good point about
Get some help.
About Boosie's fan base.
Stop it. Get some help.
Michael Jordan PSA.
I remember that GIF.
Yeah.
But you're right about his fan base in terms of him and his principles and what he stand on. I get that part. I'm just looking at it from the idea of you having a chance to put an album out with T.I. and y'all already working on a reality show. Y'all just gonna scrap, quote unquote, scrap that. The album he said for sure he wants to scrap. I don't know about the show.
It might be a rollout for that album to eventually manifest somewhere.
In 2023, you are correct. That is
everything's
believable.
a rollout in 2023.
You might be right.
I'm
Y'all
cynical
might be
in
right.
that way. I'm sorry.
Y'all might be right. It's just the concept of all this, like you see paperwork everywhere, man. It's just getting annoying, bro, because that has nothing to do with putting
art.
out records and art. It has nothing to do with that, and the game is becoming oversaturated with this conversation to be. And
we're still talking about it.
Exactly.
Sure aren't.
So
I mean, it just depends on the fan base. Like we're not people that would care so much about that.
You're right.
You feel me?
You're right.
So it doesn't affect us here nor there.
But
in the same token,
like I ain't
got nothing to do with none of that.
I'm not married
running your mouth.
T.I.
about.
I'm not
clear,
mad at
be
Gunna.
clear.
He did not want to be in prison for Christmas. I get it.
Yeah, well,
So
his fan base, based on his fan base, he's going to suffer behind this.
That's a good point.
let him come out with something that really slaps.
You sure?
know.
I don't know, Jay Moore. At this point,
Look, a hit record and 1,000-yard season fix everything.
That's what he's talking about. If he decides to cross over and do something different, then that new fan base
Look,
may be for it.
let Gunna say, okay, I'm not messing with. I'll Doja Cat will do a song with me. I'll be all right.
I don't know. 6ix9ine ain't faring very well out here. No
He's
matter how he spin it and try to act like he this, that, and third, or whatever fuck Master Flex was on talking about, he's gonna run his records. He doesn't have a record for you to run, sir, because nobody's messing with it.
He still go over to Dubai or somewhere where the streets.
Yeah, he can go over there.
Yeah. He'll figure it out.
think he'll get a bag over there, huh?
He's been getting bags over there.
Gunna
I
probably
wasn't
don't
paying
speak
attention.
another language though.
You ain't gotta speak another language. You just speak the language of have my deposit
Yeah,
That's
but see the
wired to my bank
allure,
account.
Yeah.
the allure of 6ix9ine, he can go overseas and talk to them, make a song in their native language. When
What
he goes,
languages does he speak?
he
a
speaks
good question.
English and Spanish, I believe.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, he ain't
I
gonna
mean,
fare well
I
in
know he's
Dubai.
supposed to be.
Well, maybe not Dubai. I don't even know if he's been to Dubai.
No,
to
I
do
saw
a
that
show.
because he got into it with
But I
somebody
know,
over
I
there.
do know that he goes over to Spanish-speaking countries
Got you.
and does a lot of performing.
I can see the wheels in his head turning like Spanish in Dubai.
He ain't,
No, I was
he ain't
just
doing no songs with Bad Bunny. I know that.
No, the most I was like, wow, maybe.
Because Bad Bunny is smart.
Well, for sure, absolutely. But I was just like, maybe Tekashi is just a super troll. Maybe he speaks 9 languages or something.
Nah, he ain't speaking languages like that, but
He said a super troll.
yeah,
He is a super troll.
he definitely is.
Well, like I said, man.
I don't know what y'all on, but I would like to hear that album.
you
Which
know-
album? 6ix9ine?
No, I'm talking about the. Come on now, that's like CNC Music Factory.
You said you want to hear that, so
To you, I'm talking about.
So, what else we got to talk about?
well, we got a couple options.
the weather is up and down. You
It
know?
is 60 degrees tomorrow, and then low of 20, I think,
Yeah, whatever.
25.
Big Gipp goes in on DJ
Oh my
Khaled.
God, that was so hilarious, bro. He basically
See the same thing we've been saying.
and he said it and was adamant about it. He's like, dude, until you can go around the world and perform your own records without somebody else performing them, then you're not the best. Like he was playing on We the Best.
A lot of people say they're the best and they're not the best. See, I say we the best and I represent the people and I also represent we the best myself and I'm a winner.
He gave T-Pain his props for, all the biggest records that you hear has got T-Pain on the hook. So he basically was giving T-Pain his flowers, and you really don't do anything other than have people come on, and sing your records, and you get producers to bring beats in, and then you get all the credit for it. So he really was out here destroying his whole, everything that we've said, he echoed it. So I actually laughed because Big Gipp was not playing. He was dead serious.
Yeah, he's hating on
interview.
everybody on the East Coast.
I mean, he also had a lot of kind of questionable things he said about Jay-Z too, right?
Yeah,
He
did.
talked about
Who did?
talked about Jay-Z a
Big Gipp?
lot.
Did he? What did he say
He talked
about
to him.
Jay-Z?
What did he say?
He said Pac was better than Jay. He said Jay. Let's see. He said Pac would have had Beyonce if he was still alive or something like that. And it was a lot.
Pac was doing pretty good. I mean, he had Quincy Jones' daughter at that time when he passed, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think he was doing pretty good. Rashida? Was it Rashida Jones?
It was Kadada.
Kadada Jones,
yeah. He had a couple things that were a lot of Jay-Z, to Lone's point, a lot of Jay-Z
that's
talk, but
objective though. I mean, it just depends.
Because everybody says what Big and Pac would have been
wow.
if they'd have stuck around.
Stop Long.
But my thing is, it's like, what if they say they lived? There's a good chance that Big or Pac would have been on 𝐀𝐿 Records.
Right. Well, no, I ain't gonna say that.
No,
But
I mean,
it's a chance.
there's a chance that, that there would have been a shift in culture, and they wouldn't have. It's kind of like when people say, "Oh, well, what would have happened if Aaliyah was still alive? Would Ashanti or Beyonce be as big?" It's like, well, they're not.
Yeah.
So, and
Tupac's star was way too big to end up on 𝐀𝐿 though.
Yeah,
Like even if he stopped rapping, he would have been good.
But you gotta. I'm not saying 𝐀𝐿, but you gotta look at it. Okay, Death Row basically fell apart when Suge went to prison. He was trying to move off and do his own thing. I think he'd have focused more on being an actor or like he would have tried to. The
Will
music
Smith
thing would have been. He did a lifetime of music in 24 years.
He did.
I got a couple of these Lone that you were talking
25
about.
rather.
He's we'll just topics for Big Gipp, just some of the comments. There's some of Jay-Z. He said some of Jay-Z's raps are Biggie's. He said Dr. Dre would get more love if he were to attend or go to Rock Nation brunches. So that's one of the things that he
doesn't make any
said.
sense at all.
Doesn't make any sense.
Said DMX and 50 Cent were bigger than Jay-Z. And Tupac,
They were at the time.
Yeah.
I agree. And Tupac's All Eyes on Me is better than any Jay-Z album.
Calm down.
I mean, that's subjective.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is. But he said a lot of this stuff has comments.
Some people
going
don't
crazy.
like. Some people don't like Jay-Z. So
I know plenty.
we need to go ahead and get that out the air.
Agreed.
That some people don't like Jay-Z, and that's fine if you don't like Jay-Z. So of course you're going to say that whatever Tupac did is better than Jay-Z's. I mean, I was a huge Tupac fan. I was a bigger Tupac fan than I was Jay-Z when he was alive. You know what I'm saying? But time has passed. Unfortunately, Tupac met his demise, and Jay-Z continued to go. So I continued to listen to Jay-Z albums and became a bigger fan of Jay-Z because now I have more material to listen to.
Yep.
Versus I had 4 albums from Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And All Eyes on Me was a pinnacle. It was one of the first double albums in hip hop, if not the first.
That's true.
Which started a trend.
Start a bad trend because everybody did not need to make a double album.
Yeah.
He also said Andre 3000 is better than Jay-Z. And
I can dig that.
And he didn't have to rap about selling dope to sell records like Jay-Z did.
That sounds like hate.
Is it hate or is it subjective?
That sounds
because
like
if you
hate.
listen to Jay-Z in let's say his last 5 albums, selling dope, is that really what you have boiled Jay-Z's career down to?
Yeah, nah.
Well,
That
I mean,
sounds
he didn't say
hate.
that was his career, but he said
Pretty much that's what he's saying.
No,
I mean, a lot of
No.
this interview is hate.
Is this a lot of his hate?
a lot of when I'm listening, this is hate.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of it's feel
it's
like
him
he's-
being outside the club and he can't get back.
He's been feels like he's had this on his chest for a while.
Yeah.
There's a lot of venting going on right now.
Jay-Z
Seems like-
didn't let him get on the track or something.
I mean, I don't know.
Possibly.
It's just, if that's what it feels like, maybe it's not, but it's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's some hating.
I mean,
And it's not even that I don't agree with him. I agree with him on the Andre comment. I agree with him on the Khaled
he
comment.
just took it too far.
It's just
Just left it
sound
there.
like it sounds like
it doesn't have to be personal.
Yeah.
it sound like it's been pent up a little bit.
Seems a little personal. I don't know.
Okay, well,
Come on,
got
Gipp Goody, man. You got to do
Who would
better
Gipp
than
though?
that.
But you make a good point about the Jay-Z conversation because I know some that
A lot of people
that
don't like
will-
Jay-Z.
Look, this is when I knew Gipp was going all off the rails. Shout out to him. Like, always going to appreciate his contribution.
100%.
We cannot overstate what the Goody Mob did for not only hip hop but hip hop in the South.
Agreed.
But like he said something like he said something about Diddy ain't had no hits since 2002,
That one's on here too.
and I'm like, this just show
Neither
you.
is Goody Mob.
Yeah, well,
That's hate.
but
That is not hate.
No, but
That's almost factual.
Now you hating now.
But at the
Okay.
same time, I'm thinking, this is how sometimes people make comments and they're not outside. I was like, Diddy got to move on.
Yeah.
It's not even a year old. He hit that, that song
He
still
said
goes.
since 02.
Yeah.
I Need a Girl came out after 2002.
Yeah, come on.
he said he ain't
The
produced.
Dirty Money joints.
Yeah.
I knew.
So-
He said he ain't produced or wrote nothing. That Jermaine Dupri will smoke him.
Well, we already talked about that.
That's what he said.
We
That's what
agree.
Of course, he put. But you know what? Shout out to him for putting on for Atlanta and his people.
Yeah.
That's true.
But let's not get out of hand.
Let's not get out of hand,
And
big.
just say,
Big
he ain't
Gipp.
had nothing popping in 20 years when he had a big song in the clubs last year.
Yeah, because the last Goody Mob hit
Here we
was
go with the hate.
This is actual fact.
Man, you really struggle with hate, man.
No, I don't.
Get Rich
I
to
know it
This.
when I see it.
Was Get Rich to
I
This,
know
would
it when I
would
hear
you
it.
count that as the last hit?
I wouldn't even count that as the last hit because that album was trash.
World Party, you didn't?
World Party was not good.
He ain't lying there.
Well, okay.
Their last album that they released when CeeLo came back to the group was pretty. It was cool. But when we talk about like hits, if you're talking about Diddy and Pac and Jay-Z, last time Goody Mob as a group was
Black
on
Ice?
that level was Black Ice and Still Standing the album. Now
Yeah.
CeeLo has had personal success that was
Plenty
very
of
big.
Gipp had a joint with Stepping Out with Sleepy Brown.
True.
He did.
So
True.
Yeah,
we have
what
to
was
acknowledge
that,
that.
album? Mutant Mindset or something like
Yeah,
that.
Mutant Mind Frame.
Mind Frame, but that was not a hit record.
Stepping Out did a little.
He had a hit song,
That song was cold though.
but as a whole cumulative record,
Okay.
the whole thing, nah, I ain't going. And I Goody Mob is one of my faves, but nah,
I'm Malone says
Gipp
it might
out
be
of pocket.
picked up, man. So
Gipp out of pocket.
I said what?
said Gipp might have just had this, wanted to get this off his chest.
Some hateration.
Well, I
in
don't
this
know. Maybe
dancery.
he needs to understand. I mean, and also may not be hate. He understands how the needle moves in this new media landscape. And so if I get on and talk crazy, look, that's the only reason why. I would have. Everybody would have forgotten completely about Jaguar Wright if she wasn't on here talking crazy.
Now that's a good point.
She is crazy
Because she has been forgotten again. So there's
That's
that.
a good point.
They said that her last episode, she was throwing her son's ashes at a window some damn where and acting a complete fool.
So if anything,
What?
I think she needs help,
Yeah.
and because she's talking about where's the commission album, I was like, they never did that album.
No.
She swore it was done, if I'm not mistaken, in that interview. Like she was saying it was shelved because of somebody doing something. I'm like, I don't even remember that album.
No.
You know
that
good
album
well
being
they would have got
recorded.
that money out there.
Yeah, if there was any extra Biggie verses,
come on, man.
they would
with
have found a
Jay-Z.
way.
Jay-Z is now a billionaire.
If there was a Jay-Z Biggie album somewhere out there, it would have been out.
That's a good point. I ain't know the part about that. That's crazy.
They took all the Little C's verses off and Charlie Baltimore's verses off, and
would have been gone.
And they'd have made this into some sort of super album.
That was so unnecessary.
What?
You didn't have to say the Charlie Baltimore and Lil C's part. Man.
Why not?
That's who was in the commission, and how they do when they repackage these albums by people who have passed away, the same way I talked about how they put Ashanti on a Tupac song. They would have done something like that.
Who would be better if the commission did come out? Would it be the commission or the firm?
Well, the firm came out, and that clearly didn't work.
Didn't work. But do you think having two elite artists in the commission would make them better than the firm? And not to say that AZ's not an elite artist, but he's not Biggie.
Not Jay.
Well, okay. If everything sounds like Brooklyn's Finest, and we're going to that, and as much as I do enjoy the song, I Love the Dough, I don't want to hear a full album of that.
Nah.
So
What's the joint on No Way Out with Jay and Big? Young G's?
Young G's, yeah. If we had
Now,
a
if it's
vibe
that,
like that, yeah.
Yeah. If it's that, I'm with you. Don't
I mean,
disrespect the firm.
so,
either.
yeah,
Don't do
anything-
that.
I didn't
Yeah.
disrespect
Hey man, I don't
the
want a
firm.
bunch of rap about being in a pyramid and stuff. Like, I'm cool.
Being in a pyramid.
I hate him, man. I really do. Being in a pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who raps about that?
I don't know.
Metaphysical.
Frank
Rap, man.
Ocean got a song called The Pyramid,
Yeah.
but he's talking about girls dancing at the pyramid.
Yeah.
Look,
Tonight.
Lupe got a whole song about dinosaurs, and I was into it.
Nah, he did his
90%
thing.
of aliens prefer Earth. I mean,
I can't tell. They need to come help.
I was like,
Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that article where Lupe said Ja Rule is his favorite rapper?
he needs to stop trolling.
Is that cap loan?
I'm not
there's
Lupe.
no way it's his favorite rapper. Let's just say what it is.
I mean, Lupe is a really great rapper. For him to say that Ja Rule is his favorite rapper, and him not be trolling, there's something not right with the world.
I mean,
He said he grew up on Ja Rule. Lupe Fiasco is not that old.
Grew up on Ja
not
Rule.
that young to grow up on Ja Rule.
When did
he said-
Lupe's first album was?
he
Like
said-
05, 06?
It was mixtapes. But
he said, "This all I need right here." And when he greeted Ja Rule, he said,
Listen, I grew up on Ja Rule. You feel me?
Yep. He said, "I don't give a f what anybody say."
Clearly.
Give
said
me
they asked-
Vinny Vetti Vici.
Yep.
Give me MFN Pain is Love or
Yep.
anything. I don't give a F. Give me Rule 336 over anything. FDs. Feel me? I'm bumping Ja. F you.
okay,
All right.
so he's a fan of Ja Rule. But if you're gonna ask Lupe,
To tell the I couldn't even
tell
look
the
at,
truth, Lupe.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Couldn't even look at Lupe
Tell the
in the
truth.
face without laughing, man. If this came up, I do not believe this at all.
I don't know.
No, it's not that I don't believe it. It's just that
Come on,
I feel
man.
like they're
He did not grow up on
He might have.
Ja Rule.
He might have grown. He might
He's
have
not-
really enjoyed
he's
it.
not that young.
Lupe's
Not grown up, but I mean, he's our age.
yeah, but that's what he said though. He said I grew up on Ja Rule, so I'm thinking
Is there another Ja Rule that we don't know about?
Must
there has
be.
to be.
No. The Ja Rule from the west side of Chicago. Ja
Shawty Lo
Ja
say?
Rule is taking the
Oh,
Robert Taylor
yeah.
Holmes.
What Shawty
He's
Lo
got a-
say must be two sides?
He's got a couple songs with Shauna. That's right.
Yeah.
No,
Mm-mm.
doesn't exist.
Listen, man. He might have grew up on that. the music doesn't correlate at all, so it ain't an influence. He just must have been listening.
Maybe
to
he
it.
was
first came out.
You could be a fan of it.
When he first came out,
was
Ja Rule was
99.
kind of in his prime, wasn't he?
No, look.
Lupe?
Because when Lupe
Yeah.
was featured on Touch the Sky,
That's like what, 2006,
It's like
2005?
2006.
And he was dropping
2005.
mixtapes before that.
Ja Rule
He had
didn't really get
First-
hot until
What
like
was that
2001.
What was that mixtape series called?
First and 15th.
First and 15th. Yep. He was destroying everything on those. Every beat you could think of, he was murdering it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just a big fan of him. I don't know. I think
he
we
was murdering it.
look, man.
I guess he did like him.
Good job. Yeah, I saw this. I laughed out loud. I mean, normally when we
If this is the truth, I would have never guessed. I would have
That's
lost this
my
question in
whole
Final
point,
Jeopardy.
bro.
I would, like,
I'd have answered anything other than Ja Rule.
I would never have guessed this. Would never have guessed.
Where
it.
is Ja?
But hey,
he named he named the albums like he know them backwards too. So I mean, it reads genuine, I guess.
He
but
didn't list that Blood in My Eye album, no.
No, he didn't list that.
Because that was after
We gonna clap
50
back?
Cent gave him a 2-piece and a biscuit. He wasn't ready.
Never seen somebody get their whole
career.
The New York song was cold, though.
Yeah.
You
When
took
that
the words
came
out of my
out,
mouth.
though,
The
you
whole
know.
career. I'm talking about the whole career.
He just took his career from him.
He
He's
took
like, I'm
his
sorry,
whole-
this is not yours anymore.
Yeah.
We're just going to hold it.
I'm gonna take your whole
T.I.
swag.
kind of did the same thing to
Flip.
Lil Flip.
Yeah, Flip disappeared too.
Yeah.
I ever tell you that time Lil Flip came to Anderson?
I remember it was the UAW hall.
Yes,
He probably was here last week.
It was so random. We would have random people come to the UAW
Lil
hall.
Flip, if you're listening, we love you.
And perform.
Nah, he gets love in Nap. He'd
does.
be here often.
Yeah.
That's why I said it.
Yeah. I mean, he
like
might.
I wasn't playing. He probably was.
he probably
for me
was.
last week.
That's what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like Boosie. Boosie comes and goes, and people don't even know.
I'm trying. Boosie was supposed to do an adult prom here.
Oh, for
and,
real?
And it was supposed to happen last year sometime, and then it was supposed to happen around Valentine's Day. They just ended up canceling it altogether because I guess
They had the money together.
now Boosie was on. He wasn't responding back to none of the correspondence even after they paid money. So
Ooh.
they
Wow.
just canceled it.
Oh, that's different.
That's bad business.
Yeah. Well.
Long good call, man, on the UAW because it's definitely where he was at.
It was right around the corner from where I lived. So
And that mug was full.
People be throwing parties at the UAW.
it's the most random place too because there's like
Ever.
there's like a baseball diamond attached to it.
For real.
Yeah,
You know, if you're
and, like-
part of a union, you can get that for free.
Yes.
Like I can usually get a UAW hall for free. Well, mine at least. I can get it for free.
we're in it for things and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So if we throw a new old heads party, can we do it at UAW
And get flipped.
and get flipped?
Get
Yep.
E40.
Well, I don't know.
We ain't got the
if
budget
we
for
can afford
E40.
But
Yeah.
you know, there's some rappers out here. We
We can get Lil Flip.
know,
Look, let me tell you, there have been some random rappers at this UAW hall.
Yeah.
I don't remember who all. Lil
That just
Flip
don't seem
definitely
fly
was.
to me to have people walking into a UAW hall for.
I mean, the
Because
stage
it's
was
not.
lit.
yeah, but I've been to some. I don't want to say sketchy places, but I've seen some shows in
When I tell
roller
y'all-
rinks and
Yeah.
the
The
armories.
Emerson could use some help. Like I understand it's historic, but they need to put some money behind.
I've still
that.
never been in there.
Really. I wouldn't seen Crit
They-
there.
They used to have parties.
Years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to a party in a fireman's lodge at the crib.
I bet it was nice.
I've been to the club at the hotel at where y'all from.
Yeah, I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Look along. Yeah, so much for that.
I have friends that met their spouses there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He ain't lying.
No,
dead serious.
I've been. Have you been? Somebody have a wedding at the UAW hall?
I could be,
I
it can
think
be
I've
set
been
up
to a
for it.
wedding at the
Yeah,
UAW.
Yeah, it
hall.
could be set up for it.
It'd be like Friday night, wedding. Saturday night, actually it'd be Friday night, Lil Flip. Saturday
night
wedding.
wedding, yeah.
Sunday, what's the
Bingo.
cornhole
Yeah.
competition?
Cornhole.
Yeah, I didn't heard some Peebo pricing at a UAW hall.
Her who?
Peebo.
Oh, Long, you
Like,
like
you don't know
Peebo
who
Bryson?
Peebo
I had
is.
no idea what that is. Peebo Bryson?
We'll work on it. Don't worry about it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, he had a.
Is it something that I need to work on, or is it?
People
No,
Bryson
that's
wasn't
cool.
he wasn't at the Union Hall.
He wasn't there.
No, he just
I'm
giving-
saying his
yeah,
music was
yeah.
being played at a.
Oh yeah, during
at
the
a-
wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody
This is
did.
how long ago that it was since I've been to a UAW hall wedding.
Hey man, if that's where you want to get married, that's cool.
Hey, I ain't mad.
I ain't gonna no disrespect. We appreciate the chat as always. As always, go to newoldheads.com for all the education you need this year. We appreciate the support. Like it, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. Hit the bell. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Lord Winslow was a bum.
Oh my God.